there is a question that has quietly destroyed many people's lives. Why do I sincerely want to change, but always return to my old self? You once said you would start on Monday. You once promised that next month you would get serious. You once told yourself this year everything would be different. But then time passed and you still carried the same old habits, the same old thoughts, the same old life. The most painful thing is not failure. The most painful thing is knowing you could be better, but year after year still standing still. If you feel like you lack discipline, lack motivation, or lack willpower, hear me say this. Maybe the problem is not your weakness. Maybe there are invisible ropes pulling you back to the old place every time you try to step forward. And most people never see them. Today, I will help you uncover the real reason people do not change, even when they truly want to. And at the end, I will tell you the most important thing, how to break the loop that has held you for many years. But first, we need to fix one major misunderstanding. You think you lack willpower. The truth may be the complete opposite. I want to begin with a truth that many years ago, even I did not understand. Most people do not fail because they are weak. They fail because they are fighting the wrong battle. They wake up every morning and think their problem is a lack of determination. So they try to force themselves a little more. Try to wake up earlier. Try to do more. Try to be stricter. Try to make stronger promises. But after only a few days, everything goes back to the way it was. Then they conclude, I have no willpower. I am too lazy. I am not as good as other people. But if someone keeps using the wrong key to open a door, the fault is not with the door. And it is not with that person's hands either. The fault is that they do not understand how the lock works. Many people are trying to change their lives through pressure, while what is holding them back is pull. Those are two completely different things. You can picture it like this. A person runs very fast forward, but behind their back is a rope tied to a huge rock. Outsiders look in and say that person is weak. But no, that person is not weak. That person is just carrying too many things, pulling them backward. Life is the same. You say you want to change, but the environment around you is still the same. You want to live with more discipline, but every night you are still in the room that feeds procrastination. You want more peace, but every day you still spend time with people who only bring stress. You want to be better financially, but you still keep the same spending habits, the same thoughts, the same use of time. You want to be more mature, but you still protect the same old ego, and then you wonder why you are not moving forward. I have seen many people blame themselves for years simply because they did not realize one simple thing. No one can build a new future with an old system. You cannot plant a good seed in rocky soil and expect it to bloom. You cannot step into a different life if your schedule is still exactly the same as 3 years ago. You cannot expect a clear mind if every day you fill yourself with noise, comparison, and things that make your heart heavier. Many people hearing this will ask me, so does that mean I am a victim of circumstances? No, I am not saying you are powerless. I am only saying that blaming yourself is too shallow a way of seeing things. Some people work very hard but still move backward. Some people are very smart but still get stuck. Some people sincerely want to change their lives but keep returning to the same point because they are using human effort to fight against the wrong life structure. Think about it. If every morning you wake up late because you stayed up too late, the problem is not the alarm clock. If you always procrastinate on important things, the problem may not be your personality, but that you let your life be flooded with things that feel good immediately. If you are always drained of energy, the problem may not be that you are weak, but that you are carrying too many things that do not belong to you. I learned that people often judge themselves too quickly and judge their life system too little. They say, I am not strong enough, but they do not ask, what kind of structure am I living in? They say, I lack motivation, but they do not ask, what is draining my motivation every day? They say, I cannot change, but they do not ask, what is keeping me where I am? And sometimes, just changing the question starts changing the direction of life. I once knew a man who always said he had no discipline. He promised to exercise dozens of times and then quit. He read books about success, listened to speeches, blamed himself, and then failed again. But when I looked closely, I saw he slept too little, ate irregularly, worked while exhausted, and spent late nights on things that left his mind in chaos. He did not lack discipline. He was burned out. When a person is burned out, they call it laziness. When a person lives in the wrong environment, they call it lack of willpower. When a person is pulled backward by old loops, they call it fate. But the name does not change the nature of it. And this is what I want you to remember very clearly. Do not insult yourself with conclusions made too early. Maybe you are not as weak as you think. Maybe you are just tired. Maybe you are not as useless as you think. Maybe you just do not yet have the right structure to grow. Maybe you have not failed. Maybe you are just trying to climb upward on a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. This is very important because when a person believes they are the problem, they lose hope. But when they understand the system is the problem, they begin to have the power to change. Because systems can be fixed. Schedules can be fixed. Environments can be fixed. Habits can be fixed. Ways of thinking can be fixed. But before fixing anything outside, you need to understand an even deeper pull. A pull that makes many people, even while knowing they are suffering, still return to the old place. It is when people are not addicted to pain. They are addicted to familiarity. I want to tell you something that may sound strange, but it is true for many lives. People do not always choose what is better. Many times, people choose what is more familiar. It sounds simple, but if you understand it deeply, you will look back at almost every decision you have made with different eyes. Some people stay in a job that has exhausted them for many years. Every morning they wake up feeling heavy. Every night they come home drained. They complain, they feel discouraged, they say they want to leave, but they stay. Not because they love that job, but because they are used to it. They are used to the morning route, used to the desk, used to those faces, used even to the discomfort repeating every day. And strangely enough, familiar suffering often makes people feel safer than a new opportunity they cannot predict. Some people stay in a relationship that went cold long ago. There is no more support, no more respect, no more feeling understood, but they still hold on. Not because it is beautiful love, but because it is familiar. They are used to having someone beside them, even while lonely inside that relationship. They are used to the same old conversations, the same old sad days, even the same old disappointments. Something new scares them more than familiar sadness. Some people complain about their financial life for 10 years, but have never changed how they use money, how they learn, how they work, or how they manage time. They say they want to be better off, but they still live by the old model, because the old model, though poor, is still familiar. Do you see it? Many times, what holds us back is not chains made of iron. It is chains made of familiar feeling. I once watched a dirt road after the rain. Old tire tracks were carved deep into the road. Every car passing afterward naturally rolled into the same old grooves. No one had to force it. No one had to pull it, only because those grooves were already there. Many people's lives are the same. They have walked too long in one path of thought, reaction, and choice. So when a new road appears, they unconsciously turn back to the old one. Someone suggests a different way to live. They listen, nod, agree, then go back to normal. Someone gives them a new opportunity. They feel excited for a few days, then withdraw. Someone tells them to love themselves more. They want to do it, but deep inside, they still treat themselves the way they did for years. Because familiarity has quiet power. It does not shout. It does not threaten. It only whispers. Stay the same. It is safer that way. And many people listen to that whisper for life. I think this is why many people misunderstand themselves. They think they are weak. In truth, they are only hypnotized by what is familiar. They think they are incapable of change. In truth, they just have not stayed in the new thing long enough for it to become the new familiar. This happens even in very small things. You are used to sleeping late, so sleeping early feels uncomfortable. You are used to procrastinating, so starting right away feels stressful. You are used to spending emotionally, so restraint feels like deprivation. You are used to speaking badly about yourself, so respecting yourself feels strange. Remember this, feeling unfamiliar does not mean it is wrong. Many people turn back simply because the first step of change always feels awkward. A new pair of shoes is not comfortable at first, but that does not mean it is not better than the old worn pair. A new road does not look familiar at first, but that does not mean it does not lead somewhere better. A new version of you will feel very strange at first. You will feel awkward, unnatural, unlike who you used to be. But that is often a sign you are growing, not going the wrong way. I have seen many people quit too early simply because they missed the familiar feeling of their old self. They start living with principles for a few days, then say, I am not this kind of person. They start saying no to things that harm them, then say, I do not feel comfortable. They start taking their goals seriously, then say, I miss the free life I had before. But the truth is, they do not miss freedom. They miss leniency. They do not miss happiness. They miss what is familiar, and that is the big trap. If you do not understand this, you will always think going back to the old place means returning to the right place. But sometimes, going back is only returning to what is familiar, not what is right. So what should you do? First, do not trust every uncomfortable feeling when you are changing. Some discomfort is a warning sign, but some discomfort is only the protest of old habits. Second, give the new thing enough time. A seed does not bloom overnight. Muscles do not grow strong in a week. A new identity is not formed after only a few days of effort. Third, remember that a better life often lies beyond the stage of unfamiliarity. If you are patient enough to go through that early uncomfortable stage, what once felt strange will gradually become the new normal. And then, you will no longer have to force yourself. You will live differently in a natural way, but there is still a deeper layer. Some people understand they are trapped in familiarity. They have started changing habits, changing environment, changing rhythm of life, yet they still fall back because beneath every behavior there is something stronger. It is the way they see themselves. There is a very quiet crack in a person's life. It does not bleed. No one sees it. It does not make a loud sound either. But over the years, it causes many people to collapse from the inside. It is when a person slowly loses faith in themselves. I am not talking about losing faith in the world, not talking about disappointment in other people. Those things hurt, but they are still easier to recognize. I am talking about a deeper pain. It is when you no longer believe the words you say to yourself. You once promised to wake up early, then you turned off the alarm. You once said you would save money, then you spent based on emotion. You once told yourself you would start learning a new skill, read a new book, take your health more seriously. Then a few days later, everything became silent again. At first glance, those things seem small, but life is not built only by big decisions. It is also worn away by small broken promises repeated again and again. Every time you say something and do not do it, there is someone inside you listening. That person is you, and that person begins to note. These words are not trustworthy. This intention will be abandoned too. This time will probably be like every other time. Do you see the danger? One day, your mouth still says you want to change, but your heart no longer believes it. That is when a person lives divided. The mouth says, move forward. Inside says, useless. The mouth says, start again. Inside says, do not dream. The mouth says, I will be different. Inside gives a sad smile. I already know the ending. Many people call that laziness. But no, very often it is inner loss of trust. If a friend promised you 10 times and broke all 10 promises, the 11th time you would hear them with your ears but not believe them with your heart. You treat yourself the same way. You hear yourself say, tomorrow I start, but the deepest part inside has already turned away. I have seen many people who are intelligent, full of potential, but every time they have a chance to change, they hesitate. Not because they do not want to, but because they no longer believe their effort will lead anywhere. This is why some people buy books but do not read, buy courses but do not study, make great plans but do not act. They do not lack knowledge. They lack faith that their actions still have value. And when a person loses that, they easily live below their potential. They choose goals smaller than their real ability. They say things like, oh, well, this is fine too. Maybe this is just my fate. Do not expect too much. It sounds humble, but many times that is only disappointment wearing the clothes of calmness. I want you to pause for a few seconds and remember the last time you broke a promise to yourself. It may be something very small. Sleep 10 more minutes. Spend on one more unnecessary thing. Delay one more day. Stay silent before something you should have done. Those things do not destroy you in one moment, but they send a repeated message. I do not do what I say, and when that message repeats long enough, it becomes identity. I am undisciplined. I am someone who quits. I am someone who never follows through. But listen to me very slowly here. That is not your nature. That is your old behavior record, and records can be rewritten. A person who broke promises many times can still become trustworthy, but not through grand vows, through small victories kept fully. Wake up on time tomorrow. Do the task you promised for 20 minutes. Say you will walk, then walk. Say you will read 5 pages, then read. Say you will turn off your phone at 10, then turn it off. So small that outsiders see nothing changing, but inside, a revolution is happening. Because every time you keep your word, the one listening inside will note, maybe this time is real. Maybe I still can do it. Maybe I am not completely lost. Do not underestimate small promises kept correctly. They are the bricks that rebuild self-respect. They are the bridge connecting who you are today with who you want to become. Many people wait for inspiration before acting. I think the opposite. Act small, first so inspiration returns later. Many people wait to believe in themselves before starting. I think the opposite too. Start small, so you have a reason to believe in yourself again. If today you feel worn down, lacking fire, lacking faith, do not conclude that you are broken. Maybe you only owe yourself a few promises fulfilled. And when you repay that debt, little by little, your vitality will return. But there is still another misunderstanding that keeps many people trapped. They think change must be huge, fast, dramatic, otherwise it is meaningless. That very thought makes them quit from the beginning. So I want to tell you about the power most people underestimate the most. Changes so small they seem insignificant. I realize there is a reason so many people begin full of enthusiasm, then quickly disappear from their own goals. They underestimate small things. They believe that if the change is not big, fast, dramatic, then it means nothing. So they choose very big promises. Starting tomorrow, I will wake up at 5 a.m. Starting next week, I will work out every day. Starting this month, I will read 50 books a year. From now on, I will be completely disciplined. It sounds powerful. It sounds inspiring. But many times, it is only temporary emotion wearing the clothes of strategy. An emotion comes fast and leaves fast. When the first fire dies down, what remains is a plan too heavy to carry. So they quit. Then they think they lack strength of character. No. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that you chose a first step that was too big. I have never seen a tree grow by leaping upward overnight. I have only seen it grow through quiet days of drawing water, growing roots, receiving sunlight, enduring wind. People are the same. Life rarely changes because of one grand decision. It changes because of small actions repeated long enough. A healthy person is usually not created by one extreme week of exercise. They are created by many months of walking, sleeping enough, eating moderately, and returning consistently. A financially stable person does not always begin with a large amount of money. They often begin with the habit of managing small amounts. A confident person does not appear after one motivational speech. They grow after many times of keeping promises to themselves. That is the ordinary truth people do not find exciting to tell, but it is what truly creates results. We live in a world that loves noise. Everyone wants to see a breakthrough, but nature loves a slow rhythm. Seeds sprout in silence. Sunrise arrives little by little. Deep rivers flow quietly. If you understand that, you will stop looking down on your small steps. You read 5 pages. Small. You walk 15 minutes. Small. You save a very small amount. Small. You clean one corner of your desk. Small. You sleep 20 minutes earlier than yesterday. Small. But those small things send a very big signal into the mind. I am someone who knows how to begin. I am someone who can keep promises. I am someone who is moving upward. That is how a new identity is built. Not through declarations, through evidence. Many people say, when I have more time, I will change. I think differently. You do not need more time to begin. You need one action small enough that you cannot make excuses to refuse it. If exercise feels too hard, do 5 push-ups. If reading feels too heavy, read 2 pages. If writing a plan feels too long, write 3 lines. If cleaning the whole room feels exhausting, clean one corner of the desk. Do you see it? Sometimes what keeps us from moving forward is not the big task, but the wrong size of the first step. I have seen many people wait for a perfect day, a freer day, a more motivated day, a day with better mental energy, a day when life is less messy. But the perfect day is rare. Today is always real, and today always has room for one small step. One small step today is worth more than one big plan next month. One real small step is stronger than 10 beautiful promises. One small step repeated becomes a road. Do not underestimate compound power. One coin placed on the table is light, but add 1 coin every day, and by the end of the year, you have a heavy pile of metal in your hand. 1 minute of learning each day is little, but years later, it is knowledge others do not have. One kept promise may seem insignificant, but months later, it becomes a new character. I think this is where many people miss their lives. They want miracles, so they fail to see laws. Miracles rarely come. Laws are always there. You reap what you sow. You become what you repeat. Live a certain way long enough, and life will wear that face. If today you feel too far from where you want to be, do not panic. No one walks from the foot of a mountain to the summit in one step. Look down at your feet. What is the next step? Just take that one. Then tomorrow, take the next one. Many people fail because they want to see the whole staircase before stepping on the first stair. A mature person only needs to see the next step. But there is something more important than the small step. Because some people started small, did well for a few days, a few weeks, then still returned to their old life. Why? Because they tried to change behavior but did not change the environment around them. And sometimes, environment defeats willpower more easily than we think. I want to tell you something many people do not like to hear. Willpower is very important, but willpower is not the strongest force in daily life. Environment is stronger, because willpower has to fight every day, but environment works quietly all day and night. It does not argue with you. It does not need to shout. It simply repeats its influence every day until you call it your personality. Some people say, I cannot focus, but they live in a room full of distractions. The phone lies beside their hand. Noise is always on. The desk is cluttered. The mind is pulled in 10 directions. Then they blame themselves. But if you place a seed on stone and ask why it does not bloom, that is the wrong question. Some people say, I cannot keep money, but they live in an environment where every conversation revolves around consumption, showing off, shopping to prove self-worth. Some people say, I am not improving, but around them are people who only talk about others, complain about circumstances, laugh at effort, and look down on discipline. Do you see it? Many people are trying to live differently inside an environment designed to keep them the same. I once knew a man who always said he had no motivation to read. Every time he bought books, he read a few pages and quit. When I visited his house, I understood why. The television was on almost all day. The phone was always buzzing. The sofa was the center of the room. Books sat in a hidden, dusty corner. His living space was arranged for entertainment, not growth. Then he concluded he lacked discipline. No, he was simply living in an environment where the right thing was hard and the easy thing was too convenient. That is how many people are defeated. Not by a great enemy, but by small, repeated friction. If running shoes are buried deep in the closet, you will run less. If unhealthy food is always in sight, you will eat it more. If your desk is full of chaos, you will procrastinate more. If you are surrounded only by pessimism, your belief will be worn down. We often think we are completely free in our choices. In truth, many choices are guided by whatever is closest to us, what is easiest to reach. What we see most often, what people around us consider normal. Because people do not live only by decisions, people live by momentum. So if you want to change your life, do not only ask, how do I try harder? Also ask, what do I need to rearrange around me? That question changes many destinies. You want to write more? Keep paper and pen ready. Keep the desk clean. Reduce distractions. You want to be healthier? Keep your shoes where you can see them. Prepare water in advance. Reduce the distance between you and the right action. You want more peace? Spend less time near people who always bring storms into your life. You want to be better off? Spend time with people who see learning as normal, honest work as normal, saving as normal. People easily become the average standard of the environment they repeat every day. If everyone around you stays up late, staying up late feels normal. If everyone around you complains, complaining feels normal. If everyone around you procrastinates, procrastination feels normal. But if around you are people who keep their word, are on time, learn, improve, those things will begin to feel normal. And whatever feels normal becomes easier to repeat. This is why I've always believed that sometimes the greatest change is not changing yourself first. It is changing the setting where you are living. A weak tree in bad soil is not necessarily a weak tree. It may simply be in the wrong ground. Some people leave an old friend group and begin to grow. Some people reorganize their room and their mind becomes clearer. Some people change their evening schedule and their whole life changes direction. Some people stop listening to the noise around them and hear their true inner voice for the first time. Do not underestimate small environmental changes. A clean desk can save hundreds of hours of focus. One good friend can save years of drifting. One peaceful morning habit can save your whole mental state. But remember this, you do not need to wait for a perfect environment before starting. If you cannot change the whole house, change one corner of the desk. If you cannot change the whole city, change where you spend 1 hour a day. If you cannot leave the old circle yet, add better new people into your life. If you cannot remove all the noise, create a few moments of silence. Changing environment is not always a revolution. Many times it is only moving a few things but into the right place. And then I realized, beyond environment, there is still an even deeper factor. Some people changed their living space, changed schedules, changed relationships around them, but still did not break through. Because the last place that needs to change is not outside the front door. It lies in the standards they accept for themselves. I want to tell you something that could change how you see your entire life. People rarely live below their words, but they very often live exactly at the level of the standards they quietly accept. You may say you want to be healthy, but if you accept a tired body as normal, you will live like a tired person. You may say you want to be wealthier, but if you accept carelessness with money as normal, you will keep struggling with money. You may say you want to be respected, but if you accept relationships that hurt you, you will continue to be treated that way. You may say you want to change, but if you accept procrastination as something small, accept breaking promises to yourself as normal, accept living halfway as something everyone does, then your life will follow those standards. This is what many people do not realize. They think life is decided by dreams. I think life is shaped more strongly by what you allow to repeat. How many times do you allow yourself to wake up late? How many times do you allow others to disrespect you? How many times do you allow yourself to quit halfway? How many times do you allow days to pass without progress? Those acts of allowance are not loud, but they write destiny. I have seen many talented people live below their true ability for years. Not because they lacked opportunity, not because they were not intelligent, but because they were used to living with low standards. They arrive late and call it being busy. They break promises and call it flexibility. They procrastinate and call it waiting for the right time. They are careless and call it being easygoing. They let their health decline and call it sacrifice for work. Language sometimes hides the truth very skillfully. But life does not listen to excuses. It only responds to the real standards you are living by. If you live carelessly, life will return chaos. If you live halfway, life will return halfway results. If you live with principles, life will gradually return stability. It sounds harsh, but it is actually good news. Because if life were decided by the past, you would be powerless. If it were decided by other people, you would be disadvantaged. But if it is strongly influenced by the standards you accept each day, then you have the power to change starting today. You do not need to change everything immediately. Just raise one standard. Starting today, be a little more punctual. Starting today, stop lying to yourself. Starting today, stop spending money to soothe emotions. Starting today, stop staying too long where you are undervalued. Starting today, finish the task you promised, even if it is small. Those changes look very small from the outside. But inside, you are sending a powerful message. I no longer accept the old level of living. When standards change, choices change. When choices change, habits change. When habits change, life changes. I once saw someone change only one standard: no more being late. From that, they learned self-respect. Then work improved. Relationships improved. Confidence improved. One new standard opened many other doors. Someone else changed only the standard of speech. No more useless complaining. From that, the mind became clearer. Energy returned. Opportunities became easier to see. Someone else changed only the standard of health, sleeping more properly. A few months later, they seemed like a different person. Do you see it? Many times, a human life does not need a huge revolution. It needs a new boundary, a new sentence. I do not live like that anymore. But be careful. Do not raise standards through grand declarations. Raise them through repeated action. Do not say, "From now on, I am perfect." Say, "From now on, I am more serious than yesterday." Do not say, "I will never be wrong again." Say, "I will correct myself faster when I am wrong." Do not turn change into a stage performance. Turn it into daily life. And if today you are disappointed in yourself, please do not only look at your current results. Look at the standards you have accepted all this time. That is not for blaming yourself. That is to understand that if old standards created the old life, then new standards can create a new life. But there is one final important thing. Many people hear all this, feel inspired for a few days, then the fire goes out. Because inspiration is not enough to carry someone far. You need a way to connect more deeply with your own journey emotionally. I think there is a day more important than the day you earn a lot of money. More important than the day other people recognize you. More important even than the day everything in life starts going smoothly. It is the day you decide to stop betraying yourself. It sounds simple, but if you look deeply, many pains in life begin from this quiet betrayal. You know what is right for you, but do not do it. You know what is making you weaker, but continue anyway. You know where no longer fits you, but stay there. You know you need to begin, but keep delaying. Each time that happens, no one on the outside may know, but inside, a part of you grows sadder. People are not only tired because of work, money, or life. Many people are tired because they live against what they know is right. That is a very deep kind of exhaustion. You sleep enough and are still tired. You rest and are still tired. You go out and are still tired. Because the source of exhaustion is not in the body. It is in the division within. One part of you knows you should live better. Another part keeps pulling you back into old loops. And that battle consumes enormous energy. I have seen intelligent people who always feel heavy, capable people with no vitality, people with opportunities who do not dare step forward. They think they lack motivation. In truth, they have simply lived too long in disagreement with themselves. When a person repeatedly acts against what they believe is right, they become weaker. Not because life struck them, because they moved away from their own center. But the good news is this: whatever was lost through repetition can also be regained through repetition. The day you decide not to betray yourself anymore is not a day of fireworks in the sky. No one applauds. No one knows. Sometimes it is only an ordinary morning. You wake up on time though you want more sleep. You sit down to work though inspiration has not arrived. You refuse what is harming you though it feels pleasant. You tell the truth though lying would be easier. You leave the place that makes you smaller. Those moments are so small the world does not notice. But your soul notices. It realizes, finally I am being protected. That is when strength returns. Not loud strength, but quiet strength. The strength of someone beginning to trust themselves again. I want you to understand this. You do not need to become a perfect version of yourself before respecting yourself. You respect yourself through today's choices. You do not need to wait for success before becoming confident. You become confident when you do what you said you would do. You do not need to wait for life to become easier before being at peace. You are at peace when you no longer fight your conscience every day. Someone asked me, how do I truly change? I would answer like this: stop trying to become a new person overnight. Just become a person who keeps their word for one day. Then repeat it. One more day. Then one more day. That is how character is built. That is how life changes direction. That is how people once disappointed in themselves become completely different after a few years. Not through one big moment, through ordinary days lived with integrity. If you are still listening to me now, then perhaps there is still a part of you inside that has not surrendered. Honor that part. Many people out there laugh and speak normally, but inside they gave up long ago. But you are still searching for answers. That means the fire is still alive. Do not extinguish it with cruel conclusions. Do not call yourself useless just because you are slow. Do not call yourself a failure just because you are learning how to stand again. Do not call yourself weak just because you have been tired too long. Maybe you do not need a whole new life immediately. Maybe you only need one new decision today. That from now on, no matter how slowly, you will not work against yourself anymore. That no matter how small the step you will step. That even if not perfect, you will continue. And one day, you will look back on this season with gratitude. Because the place that hurt the most became the starting point. If these words touched you, leave a period in the comments. I want to know you are still walking with me. And if you want to continue the journey of becoming stronger, wiser, and more peaceful, subscribe to the channel and join us in the next videos. I want to close with a spirit worth remembering. Success is not something you chase. It is something attracted by the person you become. So today, do not only ask what life will give you, ask who you will become starting tomorrow. Many people live their whole lives waiting until they have more time, waiting until they have more money, waiting until they feel less tired, waiting until the timing is better, waiting until they feel more confident, waiting until everything is clearer. But life has a quiet truth. People who change rarely begin in perfect conditions. They begin while still confused. They begin while still afraid. They begin while still lacking. They begin before they are sure they can do it. If you wait until everything is favorable before living rightly, you may wait a very long time. Maybe a few years. Maybe a whole lifetime. I do not know what stage you are in today. Maybe you are tired of work. Maybe you are disappointed about money. Maybe you are tired of the person you have become. Maybe you are watching others move forward and wondering why you still stand still. If so, please remember this. You do not need to fix your whole life in one night. You only need to stop drifting for one more day. You do not need to know the whole road. You only need to take the right next step. You do not need to prove anything to the world today. You only need to stop betraying yourself. I believe there are very small moments that change the direction of an entire life. One morning you wake up on time. One time, you say no to what makes you weaker. 1 hour, you sit and work in silence. One decision where you keep your word to yourself. One day, you do not go back to the old self. They look small, but many destinies turn on things that small. Do not underestimate today just because it is ordinary. Many great futures are born from a very ordinary day. If you listened all the way to here, I want to say that I respect you. Because in an age full of distraction, you still made time to look at yourself. That is rarer than you think. It shows that inside you, there is still a desire to live better. And as long as that fire is still burning, it is not too late. Start small, but start for real. Move slowly, but do not stand still. Fall down, but do not go back to sleeping inside the old version of yourself. If this video touched you, leave this comment. Today I begin again. I want to read those words. And if you want to continue the journey of building discipline, a strong mindset, and a life worth living, subscribe to the channel and join us in the next video. I leave you with one final spirit worth remembering. It is not life that keeps you where you are. Many times it is your old habits that keep you there. And no one is coming to save you with one magical day. You will save yourself through ordinary days. Live the right way. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next video.